Suspenseful. You are freezing. You are completely soaked. Your stomach is doing violent flips. It is the early morning of June 6, 1944. You are packed shoulder to shoulder inside a flat-bottomed Higgins boat. The English Channel is furious today. It tosses your landing craft around like a tin can in a washing machine. You look at the man next to you. He is throwing up into his steel helmet. Can you really blame him? You are a long way from home. You are part of the Allied invasion force. This is Operation Overlord. It is the largest amphibious assault in the history of the human race. Over 150,000 Allied troops are crossing the Channel today. Thousands of ships surround you in the dark water. Your specific target is a 5-mile stretch of sand in Normandy, France. It is codenamed Omaha Beach. Dramatic pause. You adjust your helmet. The canvas straps dig into your cold chin. You are carrying almost 80 pounds of gear strapped to your back. You have extra ammunition. You have heavy rations. You have fragmentation grenades. You even have a bulky gas mask that you pray you will never actually need. If you fall into deep water, this heavy gear will pull you straight to the bottom of the sea. Will you even make it to the dry sand? Urgent. The diesel engine of your boat roars loudly. The smell of thick fuel and vomit fills the salty air. Suddenly, the massive naval bombardment begins. Allied battleships miles behind you open fire on the French coast. The sound is absolutely deafening. The dark morning sky lights up with brilliant orange flashes. Your commanders told you this bombardment would wipe out the enemy defenses. They told you the beach landing would be a walk in the park. You are about to find out exactly how wrong military intelligence can be. The coast of Normandy finally comes into view through the thick morning mist. You see the high, imposing bluffs. You see the reinforced concrete bunkers dotting the cliffs. They are perfectly positioned to rain crossfire down on the flat beach below. This is not a walk in the park. This is a heavily armed fortress. The German military calls it the Atlantic Wall. Your boat suddenly lurches forward. It hits a hidden sandbar. You are still hundreds of yards away from the actual shoreline. Urgent. Ramp down, the boat coxswain yells at the top of his lungs. The heavy steel ramp at the front of the boat drops violently into the freezing water. Immediately, the air is filled with a terrifying mechanical tearing sound. It sounds exactly like heavy canvas being ripped apart. Wah, that is the horrifying sound of the MG-42, the standard German machine gun. It fires an unbelievable 200 rounds every single minute. Allied soldiers call it Hitler's buzzsaw. And right now, it is pointed directly at the open ramp of your boat. Suspenseful men are falling in front of you. The cold water is quickly turning red. You have to move now. You cannot stay in this metal box. You jump off the side of the ramp into the crashing waves. The water is freezing cold. It reaches all the way up to your chest. Your 80 pounds of gear drag you downward. But pure adrenaline pushes your legs forward. You wade frantically through the incoming surf. Your heavy boots finally hit the wet sand of Omaha Beach. You desperately look around for cover. There is absolutely none. The wide beach is littered with strange, jagged metal crosses. These are known as Czech hedgehogs. They are brutal anti-tank obstacles designed to rip open landing craft on a high tide. Right now, at low tide, they are the only piece of cover you have. You dive face first behind a rusted iron beam. Heavy bullets ping against the metal just inches from your head. How are you supposed to advance through this nightmare? And you look up at the towering bluffs. They are over 100 feet high. Thick smoke and wet sand are flying everywhere. The noise is absolute, mind-numbing chaos. There are no generals down here. There is no grand military strategy anymore. There is only one rule on this beach right now: survive. Dramatic pause. A squad sergeant near you blows a sharp whistle. He yells that there are only two kinds of people on this beach: the dead and those who are going to die. You have to get off the exposed sand. You have to push forward to the base of the cliffs. You grip your M1 Garand rifle tightly. Your hands are shaking violently. You take a deep, ragged breath. You sprint as fast as you can to the next metal obstacle. You run past the bodies of your fallen friends. You cannot stop to help them. Every single second you stay still, you are a very easy target. You finally reach a small seawall at the base of the shingle. You collapse hard against the cold concrete. You are completely out of breath. You made it across the deadly kill zone. But the real battle has just begun. Now, you have to climb those bluffs. Combat engineers are blowing up the thick coils of barbed wire using long Bangalore torpedoes. The massive explosion clears a very narrow path up the steep hill. You follow your squad up the muddy, slippery slope. You are clearing narrow trenches. You are taking out concrete bunkers one by one. It is brutal, close-quarters combat. It is exhausting. It is truly terrifying. While hours pass like lifetimes. The sun finally starts to set over the rough English Channel. The heavy gunfire slowly dies down to occasional sniper shots. The beaches are finally secured. You sit down heavily on the edge of a captured German trench. You look back down at the expanse of Omaha Beach. Dramatic pause. It is completely covered in the smoking wreckage of war. Burning Sherman tanks, shattered Higgins boats, and thousands of brave men who will never go home again. You survived the longest day of your life. You helped crack open Fortress Europe and change history forever. This single day of unimaginable bravery shifted the entire geopolitical course of the 20th century. But as you look down at your shaking, dirt-covered hands, you know the harsh truth. The brutal war is far from over. Tomorrow, you have to march inland toward Germany. What other horrors are waiting for you in the dark? And